4.2 follows experiments, or what I like to call experimental design. So how do we set up our study? You've done your sampling process. You either have volunteers, people to interview, you've got a system down, you've figured out the part of the forest where you're going to research your trees. Then you need to decide whether your study will be an observational study or an experiment. The difference between those two. Observational studies, it's just like it sounds. You're going to observe individuals and you're going to measure variables, but they do not try to influence the responses. An experiment deliberately imposes some treatment on individuals to measure responses. So the difference is, let's go back to the forest. If I'm studying some trees in an observational study, I might look at the tree and maybe I'm studying a parasite, and I would count how many trees had that parasite or the growth of the parasite. But I'm not doing anything with the trees. I'm just observing what's already there. In an experiment, maybe I'm experimenting with a chemical that would help fight the fungus on the trees. And I impose giving some of the trees the chemical and some would not get the chemical, and I would compare the two. So that's the difference between an observational study. You're just looking at what's already happening, making no changes. In an experiment, you are going to impose some treatment, something you're going to do to your sample. Since the word variable just popped up, we might as well write down that formal definition in statistics. It's any characteristic of an individual that can be expressed as a number or counted. The response variable is the measurement of the outcomes. So when I'm doing either my observational or my experiment, I notice this about the trees. So I'm going to say the fungus is causing the trees to die. Maybe that could be something that for my observational, or if I'm doing the treatment, the chemical on the trees to help, my response variable would be, hey, these trees receiving the chemical seem to be doing better than the trees that are not receiving it. So my response would be the observed rate of trees dying or some kind of measurement after a treatment's imposed. The explanatory variable would then be what I did to the trees. Or if I'm just observing, I'm noticing these trees have this fungus there, and the response is they die. Now, if I'm doing an experiment, I'm giving these trees a chemical to help them, and I notice that they are not dying, or maybe they're still dying and the chemical doesn't work. So my explanation was the fungus. I've got a treatment, then I've got a new explanatory, and then I've got a result of death or not death. It'll make more sense when we do some problems. A confounding variable is any time when we really can't explain, or it's not really clear what's causing the response variable we're seeing. If I go back to my trees, if I've got maybe the trees not only have a fungus, but then there's some kind of bug that I'm also, some kind of insect that I notice is nesting in the tree. Now I'm not sure why the trees are dying. Is it the fungus or is it the new insect that's invaded the trees? That's a confounding variable, and you would need ways to isolate them. Maybe, unfortunately, impose some trees with the fungus and alone and some trees with the insect alone, and see what's actually causing the death of the trees. That's so unless you can separate the two variables, it's really hard to tell which one is causing the response. I'm going to run down these definitions rather quickly. We're going to cover them a little bit more in class. The first one is treatment, which is a specific condition applied to the individuals in an experiment. Notice it is in experiments only. Treatments are not imposed in observational studies. Experimental units are the collection of individuals to which a treatment is applied. And when we apply treatments to human beings, we don't call them human beings, experimental units. We call them subjects in our experiment. Sometimes explanatory variables that are in an experiment are called factors, just a little bit shorter. And you've probably heard this is due to this factor. So I've done an experiment. My patients are improving due to this factor. Levels are a little bit trickier to explain, but some experiments consider the joint effects of several factors. So each treatment is then applied at different values, or we do some combination of things. A good example would be a medical treatment where you're giving some patients a new drug or maybe an ongoing drug. Some patients would not receive the drug at all, and then maybe some patients or subjects would receive the drug plus maybe some kind of physical therapy. So we're using that drug, and maybe some patients would receive the physical therapy but not the drug. So those are all different levels that I've created together. So each one of those different combinations would be the level of their treatment. And finally, how do we randomize, and what is completely randomized design? So we're going to look a lot at how we do randomization in class, but completely randomized design is when the experimental units are assigned to the treatments completely by chance. So we might decide that the one group in my study, in my experiment, is going to receive a placebo. We'll learn what a placebo is if you haven't taken psychology. And some will receive the treatment. And I'm going to completely randomize. I'm just going to use some kind of randomization method to decide which group receives which treatment. I also need to make sure that the subjects or experimental units are also randomized into which group they end up in. So it can happen, either way. And we'll talk about why we do that and how we do that later on. I want to be really clear, though. Randomized design is not the same as random sampling. Remember, this is what happens after you've done your random sampling. You've already got your sample. Now you're turning them into subjects or experimental units that you're going to impose some treatment to. So this is secondary randomization that's happened after you've done your simple random sample or your stratified sample or whatever you've done. This is what happens after that does.